All right, I feel like I've put this one off long enough. I just knew it was going to be a major time commitment. For this episode, all we are doing is simply reading through as many files as we possibly can in an episode. We go here to the U.S. Department of Justice website where they ask you to sign in. It's not going to do it anymore because I signed in without a VPN like an idiot. But they ask you to sign in. It says something like, are you 18 or over? You say yes. And then it takes you to an option to choose. There it is right there. An option to choose between the DOJ disclosures, including disclosures under the Epstein File Transparencies Act, and then the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform disclosures. And then you can choose which one you want to go to. We're going to go to that first one. We're going to click on the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and then we're going to go through some data sets. Like data set 1, as you can see, a bunch of pages and nothing but PDFs that go on and on, which is why I say we're going to see how far we get. But before we do that, the other thing I want to do is kind of get some of the highlights of the most disturbing emails that were uncovered in this list. And this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it is important because, as you saw with GOP Senator Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming, some people don't see the big deal because after she got to see some of the redacted files, she said that she now understands the big deal when it concerns Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, going to some of the most disturbing emails, we're going to turn here to the Daily Mail, to an article titled "All the Most Disturbing Redacted Emails in the Epstein Files as Fury Grows Over Why the Names Are Hidden" by Nick Allen. The first email we get here is to Jeffrey Epstein from a redacted name. And I should add that the reason these are also so disturbing is the fact that the DOJ, Pam Bondi and her team are identifying emails that clearly show individuals engaging in very disturbing behavior with young women, and they chose to hide these individuals' names. No reason given as to why they're hiding these individuals' names, but they released the victims, the girls' names. This email to Jeffrey Epstein says, "Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty." From G Vacation. To a redacted party. The email reads, "Hope to see you. I'm in China. I will be in the U.S. second week of May." And then from Jeffrey Epstein, he responds, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." We've got another one here from a redacted name to Jeffrey Epstein. This one says, "Hi, Jeffrey. I met redacted today. She is like Lolita from Nabokov. Femme miniature, smiley face. So now I should send you her type of candidates only, question mark. Tomorrow we travel to Bern for visas." We get another email here from another redacted source, again to Jeffrey. This one reads, "I found at least 3 very good, young, poor, but we was so tired. I will cover up this week. Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot." Again, why is this individual not being exposed? Who the hell was this person that was going out and clearly recruiting young women, but also preying on underprivileged women who don't have a lot of opportunities to succeed in this world? As we all know, a lot of these women come from very poor backgrounds, and this is why they were able to be so manipulated into this lifestyle and controlled. And I mean, like, this isn't new to a lot of people. If you've ever left the country, you go to a lot of these countries. I remember in South Korea, they have a really bad industry of women who, are presented with an opportunity to make some money in a job, and then they find themselves working in these bars, and their passports taken from them, and the only way to get them back is to work a certain amount of hours, not only serving drinks and getting tips from customers, but engaging in sexual activity. We've got another email here from a redacted source. They're all going to be redacted, as you can guess the theme here, to Jeffrey Epstein. This one reads, and this one is, parentheses, "I think, totally your girl, but I haven't seen her for super long. She's been out of town for a while. Just messaged her to check up." We then get a follow-up email, again redacted. "I don't know, Jeff. I just don't have that many beautiful blonde young girlfriends who would be nice and smart as well in my life. Haha, but believe me, I am always think about you when I'm meeting new girls. I have one closest friend, but I don't think she's your type. Maybe this just came to my mind. Sweet girl, 20 years old, American." They are exchanging women like trading cards, or they are talking about women like trading cards. We've got one here from a redacted name, 2G Vacation, who I'm assuming is another one of Jeffrey Epstein's email accounts, where it says, hate letters pouring in off the Reuters piece. One of which I answered, as you saw, but in a day or two, The Guardian will come out with a lengthier piece in which they tried to trap me and succeeded in good part because it was Sunday and I was already enjoying myself. The key are the 14 to 15-year-old girls. I am a sexual pervert because I say they are now of a reproductive age. I do hope there is no legal jeopardy for you in this new flurry of activity, and my heart goes out to you, brother. Being called a sexual pervert is no fun, less so if you have served time for the crime. As I have not, they are calling me one merely for not urging your death by beheading. We'll be back in touch. Hope you are fine and more than well protected. Why this name was hidden, but I feel like out of every email we've read so far, this should be the easiest individual to identify, because clearly they did a piece where they said something along the lines of 14 to 15-year-old girls being of reproductive age, which I will never, ever understand why the counter to somebody being accused of being a child abuser, a child predator, is, well, the girl is of reproductive age. We do not live in the 18 or 1700s or any idiotic era where an excuse for a child predator should be, well, the girl is old enough. This is why it was so disgusting to me what Megyn Kelly did with her podcast and coming out and saying, we're not talking about children. There's a difference between, 5-year-olds and 12-year-olds. Well, no shit, there's a difference, but none of that has anything to do with their sexuality with grown ass men and women. Let's move on. To Jeffrey Epstein, this one says, I can't take it anymore. I just saw the most beautiful little girl on Madison with long, soft blonde hair. This is something else that I feel like is important to say, because I see this a lot, especially in this damn city. Individuals, please protect your damn kids. Stop allowing your children to just run ahead of you, dozens of feet ahead or behind you. Stop allowing your children to just go places by themselves. And I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking about children running up and down the streets on the subways by themselves. I remember literally going on the train when I first moved to New York. And, if you've been on a New York City train, you'll notice that there are individuals from various backgrounds who sell candy on said trains. And I'm talking about, it's grown women, but it's also little baby children, little girls by themselves that go around asking individuals to buy candy from them. And I remember somebody was sitting down and the little girl approached him and he asked if he wanted to buy something. And he looked at her. I think it was a couple actually. And they looked at her and they said, "Where are your parents?" Little girl didn't respond. She just continued to walk down, and eventually the mother came on. But look at what this world is, and it's sad to say it because I get people want to assume the best of their neighbors, but you can't live in that world anymore when we have individuals sending Jeffrey Epstein a effing email saying, I can't take it anymore, as if they are about to explode in their damn pants. I just saw the most beautiful little girl on Madison with long, soft blonde hair. There are not perverts. There are predators. There are dangerous individuals who are looking at children as victims, as if they could get away with it, they effing would and have. Please protect y'all's children, man, and especially if you live in a big city. This is disturbing. That is kind of where this Daily Mail article ends, and we are already kind of maxing out on time here, and I'm also just getting a headache in reading this because I can't believe this is the world we live in right now. But going to the Department of Justice here in some of the files, when you open them up, it's just so many photos, and it's, from what I've seen early on, it's I don't want to say ordinary photos or not relevant photos, because it does, as you see, it shows where Jeffrey Epstein's residence was in New York, I believe on the Upper East or Upper West Side, right? Somewhere around 70th or something like that. But you get like his door, you get windows, there's a bunch of pictures of his apartment, because as you know, law enforcement takes or documents each and every little thing so that they can build a case. You see here his initials outside his residence. But as far as like finding the details, the salacious details, the ones that you probably all want to see, it's probably going to take a while because it's a lot of pages. So bear with me as I skip ahead, and eventually maybe we'll find something that I don't know. I don't even know what you need to see at this point, right? Like you understand what this man was, and you understand how dark it can get. But in particular, I am interested in finding files related to the rumors surrounding cannibalism, the rumors surrounding decor in household made of human flesh, the rumors surrounding hunting of humans on Epstein's island or various islands owned by billionaires, disposal potentially of victims. Those are the files that I'm really interested in reading or seeing because, again, right now it's just rumors. You're seeing it on Reddit, posts. You're seeing it on TikTok. Everybody kind of has like this extreme. I mean, it's already extreme, but like some really dark, twisted things surrounding this whole network. But I haven't yet seen the actual emails. So that's what I would like to find, and that's when I will cut back to you all. Well, this is a strange just photo. Am I tripping, or is that a photo of Clinton in a dress? What the hell is this about? This is EFTA 14 PDF on dataset 1, and it's just a random photo of Clinton in a dress pointing. Okay, I think I've been reading and looking at pictures for about an hour and a half. And most of it has just been images of his household. Like I said, 3 million documents. Most of it probably not that fascinating to individuals. The only document I have seen that's even, I guess, worth bringing up, not that it provides anything new, but again, it re-illustrates how terrible this man was this prosecution memorandum from the Southern District of New York. It goes on to state on page 2, in both Florida and New York, the scheme operated in a nearly identical fashion. Epstein essentially operated a pyramid scheme of sexual exploitation, victimizing minor girls who were brought to his homes to give Epstein erotic massages in exchange for hundreds of dollars, and then paying those individuals to recruit additional minor victims. Once the victims were alone with Epstein, the massages became increasingly sexual. The identified victims range from approximately 14 to 17 years old when their abuse began, with the majority having been approximately 15 or 16 when they were recruited to perform sex acts with Epstein. Epstein's conduct included masturbating in front of victims, fondling their breasts, placing a vibrator on their genitals, and/or directly touching their genitals. Some victims also continued to engage in such acts with Epstein after they were no longer minors. Victims and recruiters in New York and Florida generally were paid $300 and $200 per visit, respectively. Background on Epstein. Epstein has had significant connections in New York City for many years. According to press reporting over the past approximately 20 years, he owns what is reportedly the largest private residence in Manhattan on East 71st Street, and his professional career was initially centered in New York. He was raised in Coney Island, and he taught calculus and physics at the Dalton School after dropping out of Cooper Union. From Dalton, he was hired at Bear Stearns, where he worked from approximately 1976 to 1981, before reportedly starting his own wealth management business. The source of his reportedly vast wealth is opaque. Most concretely, he has worked closely with multi-billionaire Leslie Wexner, founder of the limited chain of women's clothing stores, who also either gave or sold Epstein the Manhattan Mansion. In the 1990s and 2000s, Epstein apparently managed money, engaged in various philanthropy, and was briefly more publicly known for providing use of his aircraft to and accompanying Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker for a philanthropic trip to Africa. Epstein victimized at least dozens of girls in New York, in addition to the dozens of girls he victimized in Florida. In particular, we have met with victim 1, who has been cooperative with the investigation and is represented by counsel. In several proffers, victim 1 has described how she was recruited to engage in sexual contact with Epstein in approximately 2002 at the age of approximately 14. While at a New York City club, victim 1 met another teenager who described having worked for a rich man giving topless massages and recruiting other girls to do the same, and invited victim 1 to make money this way. At the time, victim 1 was living by herself and supported herself financially, having moved away from a difficult home life. As further detailed below, victim 1 ultimately visited Epstein's Manhattan mansion to engage in sexual massages and other sex acts at least dozens of times between approximately 2002 and 2005. During her visits to the mansion, victim 1 performed erotic massages on Epstein, including being partially or fully nude while she massaged him. Most or all of the massages performed by victim 1 would end with Epstein masturbating and ejaculating. During some of the massages, Epstein touched the genitals of victim 1 with his hand or with a vibrator or sex toy. He also commonly asked victim 1 to pinch or twist his nipples. Epstein ordinarily paid victim one $300 in cash after a massage was completed. Epstein would tell victim one, "You know what I like," which she took to mean underage, petite girls. Epstein would occasionally indicate his displeasure with victim one for bringing a particular girl, including expressing to victim one that he did not like dark-skinned girls. Later on, as victim one grew older and knew fewer young girls to bring, she brought older girls, which Epstein expressed displeasure about. Victim one recalls at least one occasion when she saw a girl show Epstein an ID to prove she was under 18. I mean, it doesn't need to be said, right? Like, this dude was a straight up monster. The individuals that associate with him are straight up monsters. But this, to me, highlights the fact that this individual wasn't just looking for women that appeared younger, right? Like, individuals know people who just have a type, and, you know, that type could be a woman who just has a youthful face to her, which can still be a bit weird to me. But besides the point, if that woman is legal, do what you do. He doesn't just want them to look younger. He needs them to be younger. The act of asking a woman who probably looks under 18 because she is under 18, provide ID to prove it, shows that this individual got off on the idea of dominating and interacting with actual children, which again is why I go, why does it take you sitting in a room in a computer for you to go, I see now why this is a big deal. Okay, we have another prosecution memorandum from the Southern District of New York. This one is more focused on Ghislaine. So we start here where it says she turned 14 years old that summer, recalls that one day she was sitting at a picnic table with friends when Ghislaine Maxwell walked by with her dog and said, "Hello." Jeffrey Epstein followed behind and introduced himself as a donor who gave scholarships to students. Epstein and Maxwell asked where blank was from, and when she told them she was from, asked for her phone number, which blank provided. Several weeks later, when blank was home from camp, she recalls someone from Epstein's office calling her house and inviting her to come to Epstein's house in Palm Beach for tea. And her mother went to the house where they had tea with Epstein by his pool. Epstein told them that he liked to mentor young, talented individuals, that he gave scholarships, and that he wanted to help. Blank mother reacted positively and encouraged blank to spend time with Epstein. Blank subsequently began regularly spending time at Epstein's house in Palm Beach, beginning at age 14 and continuing until she was 17, when she relocated to New York City. During those visits, Epstein regularly gave her $200 to $300 in cash and told her to give the money to her mother, remarking that he knew her mother needed the money. Epstein also paid for blank lessons. During the first few months, Epstein and Maxwell took blank to the movies, went shopping with her, and spent time with her at Epstein's Palm Beach house, often by the pool. During these visits, Maxwell and Epstein would talk with blank about school, her classes, her family, and other aspects of her life. Blank has explained that these visits were strange, but that she felt comfortable because Maxwell was there. She has characterized these early months as a time when, in retrospect, she now believes that Maxwell and Epstein were grooming her for sexual abuse. Several months into the arrangement, when blank was alone with Epstein in the pool house, he asked her what she wanted to do with her life, and she told him she wanted to blank. Epstein told her that if she was going to be involved in blank, then she needed to be prepared for what blank might do. Epstein then put her on his lap and began masturbating. After this incident, encounters with Epstein began to include sexual contact. Over time, the sexual abuse escalated and included Epstein digitally penetrating, using a vibrator on her, and Epstein directing her to massage him while he masturbated. The abuse occurred so frequently that blank does not have specific memories of each particular incident. Blank recalls that Epstein also frequently brought her into his massage room for group sexual encounters with other women, often including Maxwell. In these encounters, blank and the women would strip down to their underwear and begin massaging Epstein, who would lie down on a massage table face down. After a period of time, Epstein would turn over and begin touching the women and engaging in sex acts that, over time and in various instances, included Epstein masturbating, receiving oral sex, and engaging in intercourse. During these encounters, blank recalls that Maxwell would sometimes guide the women and give instructions about what to do. In the beginning, when blank was approximately 14 or 15, she would massage Epstein's feet and try to remain at the periphery of the sexual activity. But over time, she believed she became more involved in the sexual activity, which varied in each encounter. Blank has not been able to provide details about what sex acts she participated in during these group sessions as compared to the sexual abuse that occurred when she was alone with Epstein. However, she recalls that the most significant sexual abuse she experienced with Epstein occurred later when they were alone together. Although Maxwell was not present during these types of encounters, she was often in the house, and Epstein would lead Blank into a different room to get her alone. Though Maxwell was not present during the initial episodes of sexual abuse by Epstein, as noted above, Maxwell was sometimes present for the types of group encounters / abusive sessions described above. At times, Maxwell would undress and Epstein would give both Maxwell and Blank instructions about what he wanted them to do during these encounters. Blank remembers the first time she saw Maxwell naked during one of these sessions, and she recalls being struck by how skinny Maxwell was. Blank has explained that Maxwell would normalize the situation by behaving casually and act as if she was Blank cool older sister. Maxwell would tell her that everything was okay and make it seem like this is what grown-ups do. Because the abuse was so frequent and so long ago, Blank does not recall the specifics of these episodes with Epstein and Maxwell. She recalls generally the types of things that occurred during these types of encounters, but she is unable to narrate a specific episode. She has explained that these memories run together, and while she is confident that Maxwell was present for at least several of these group incidents, she does not recall specifically what sex acts occurred. Again, want to remind you all that this is the woman that is currently in a minimum security prison because this administration went and interviewed her. We don't know the details of the meeting, but somehow she goes to now a basically day camp where she is allowed the same privileges as somebody who's just stolen from their local Ross store and is basically saying, I didn't do anything, but I will give you more information if you pardon me completely for my crimes. That's the current justice system that we are dealing with, the current administration that we were dealing with, the type of criminal in Maxwell that we were dealing with. We've got another individual who says she grew up in a fairly well-to-do family. She recalls that when she was 17, a friend in Blank introduced her to Maxwell, who immediately took an interest in her and began spending time with her in Blank. Blake recalls that Maxwell was nice to her and acted as though they were sisters. She described Maxwell as immature and that Maxwell behaved as though the two of them were naughty little schoolgirls, even though Maxwell was 16 years older. Maxwell would frequently talk about her boyfriend Epstein and say, I know how much he's going to like you. One day, when Blank was still 17, she recalls that Maxwell called and said Epstein was visiting in Blank and Blank should drop everything and come over. Blank went to Maxwell's townhouse in London where Maxwell introduced her to Epstein, telling him she's so pretty, she's so strong. As they were standing in the kitchen talking, Blank recalls that Maxwell told her to massage Epstein's shoulders to show him how strong she was, which she did. Later, during this same visit, Maxwell told her, since you're so strong, I'd appreciate it if you give Jeffrey a massage, because he needs a massage every day or I get in trouble. Maxwell led her to a room where Epstein was waiting in a robe. Maxwell left her at the room where Epstein proceeded to take off his robe and get on his bed. As Blank was massaging his back, Epstein turned over with an erection and said, well, that doesn't make you uncomfortable, does it? Epstein then reached out to her and put her hand on his penis. Blank was shocked, and Epstein told her, it's natural. You're not scared, are you? When the encounter ended and Blank left the room, Maxwell was outside and asked her, did you have fun? Did he like it? Blank felt as though Maxwell knew what was going on in the room based on her tone. Shortly thereafter, Blank recalls that Maxwell called her and said, in substance, well, aren't you a clever girl? Jeffrey was very impressed. Also, this kind of goes into the mental state, I feel like, of Ghislaine, in that she is not a very well person, clearly based off her crimes. Like, she is, I mean, I don't even know the word to describe a woman who would do this to other young girls. But listen to this paragraph and how she views Epstein, the child predator, the same woman that is saying she never saw certain individuals in this administration, Trump namely, involved in any acts of sexual depravity, who also claims that she was never involved in any acts of sexual depravity. It reads, after these first two encounters, we're talking about the girl that we just read about, Epstein and Maxwell invited Blank to travel with them to Palm Beach, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Paris, and New York. These trips spanned several years, and Blank does not recall whether these trips began before or after her 18th birthday. However, Blank recalls that she was sexually abused by Epstein during all of these trips, typically in the context of a massage. The abuse included, among other things, Epstein groping her and using a massager device on her genitals. Epstein would typically give her $300 after these sessions. Maxwell was not in the room during these encounters, but Blank recalls that she would sometimes leave the room to find Maxwell lurking nearby. Maxwell would ask her, how was it? Is he happy? She also recalls Maxwell telling her at some point in sum and substance, you know how he is when he's not happy, and you know what makes him happy. He has to have sex all the time. He's like a superhero. If you haven't been disgusted enough, the next paragraph gets even worse. Blank recalls that during a trip to Palm Beach after she turned 18, she discovered a schoolgirl outfit on her bed in her guest room. She confronted Maxwell, who said, "Oh, I thought it'd be so adorable if you took Jeffrey his tea wearing it. Don't be so frigid." Blank did not know what to do, so she put on the outfit, which she felt was humiliating. She went to find Epstein in the house, and Epstein slapped her bottom and then reached under her skirt and began touching her. Later that day, she recalls Maxwell telling her, "I heard you did well." During the same trip to Palm Beach, Epstein forcibly Blank, after which Epstein told her in sum and substance, "Look what you've made me do. You've made me cheat on her. That's not my deal with her." Epstein told Blank that he had an arrangement with Maxwell and that he was permitted to have fool around with other women, but not permitted to have full sex. Going on with names that typically were redacted, but for some reason this one wasn't, we have another entry. When Blank was approximately 20 years old, Maxwell introduced her to a person named Michael Garland. Maxwell told Garland in front of Blank that Maxwell had known Blank since he was 17 years old. Based on Maxwell's comment, Blank believes that Maxwell knew that Blank was under 18 when they met. Blank recalls that Maxwell sent Blank a handbag as a gift for her 18th birthday with a note that said, "All of our love, Jeffrey and Ghislaine." To the co-conspirators who we were told don't exist. This is another young girl that was introduced to Epstein and Maxwell when she was around 14. She's recounted several moments between her and Epstein, in one strange moment that stood out to her where she already kind of knew what the deal was and she was undressed waiting for Epstein to come into the room, and instead Maxwell had come into the room first and made a remark that the young girl had a nice chest, and then proceeded to rub the girl's chest, which the young girl found weird because, as she said, Maxwell was a woman, and that's the only kind of interaction that seems to be sexually between Maxwell and this young girl. But then she goes on to say that at various points between 2001 and 2004, Blank provided sexualized massages to Epstein with another female in the room. In addition to being present in the room with friends, there were 2 occasions when Epstein brought another female into the massage room himself. During one of those massages, Epstein brought in a young model who performed oral sex on Blank, while Epstein had sexual intercourse with the model. During the other massage, Epstein brought a second young model into the room. On that occasion, Epstein attempted to have sexual intercourse with Blank, and although he briefly penetrated her with his penis, Blank told him to stop. In response, Epstein stopped trying to have sex with Blank and instead had sex with the other girl. On two occasions, Blank was asked to massage men other than Epstein at Epstein's Palm Beach residence. First, Epstein told Blank he had a friend in town and asked Blank to massage the friend instead of Epstein. Blank then massaged the man in her underwear, but there was no sexual contact or activity during that massage. Second, Maxwell told Blank that Epstein had to leave and he had a friend staying at the house who Blank could massage. Blank described the man as chunky and bald. Blank wore Victoria's Secret lingerie to provide him with a massage. During the massage, the man said he would pay her extra money if she did more with him. Blank agreed and had sexual intercourse with the man during the massage. The man then paid Blank approximately $600 or $700. Blank never saw him again. Once more, in case you all forgotten, we were told there are no other individuals involved in this sick game that Ghislaine and Jeffrey were playing. We were told that there's nobody else to prosecute or charge for engaging in illegal behavior with children. And right here, not even redacted, is a story about this young 14-year-old girl not having one but 2 men abuse her. Whether you want to consider them massage abuse or not, she was 14 years old in her underwear. That to me is abuse. And then the other one offer her extra money and having and going through with actually having sex with this minor. How the hell can you look somebody? How can you look a camera in the face and say there is nothing else to see here? From this alone, should not anybody who came out and said there was nothing else to see be immediately prosecuted? All right, so we're going to end. We're gonna end here with what is this document? EFTA 02731341. Although the one before 1254 is this one is heartbreaking. We just don't have the time to read it, but I do want to read it in another video. And this one comes from a little girl who was a victim of Ghislaine and Epstein. But the thing that I want to turn to here is a journal. I want to say, it doesn't really say from who. I'm assuming maybe this is something that they picked up from Epstein's estate, so possibly his. But we're just gonna go through it, and fair warning, it's gonna get a little weird and very dark. And if you're into that whole elite occultism, this is going to be like a buffet. I have been drugged and raped, 7 hours knocked out of my right mind. Mind you, these two verses are underlined. Into a black sack where I relax, foetus or cat, lever of his wet dreams. Something is gone, also underlined. My sleeping capsule, my red and blue Zeppelin, drops me from a terrible altitude. Carapace smashed, I spread to the beaks of birds. Oh, little gimlets, what holes this papery day is already full of. He has been burning me with cigarettes, pretending I am a negress with pink paws. I am myself, that is not enough. The fever trickles and stiffens in my hair. My ribs show. What have I eaten? Lies and smiles. Surely the sky is not that color. Surely the grass should be rippling. All day, gluing my church of burnt matchsticks, I dream of someone else entirely, and he, for this subversion, hurts me. He, with his, I'm not sure what that, armor of fakery? His high, cold mask of amnesia. How did I get here? Indeterminate criminal. I die with variety. Hung, starved, burned, hooked. I imagine him, impotent as distant thunder, in whose shadow I have eaten my ghost ration. I wish him dead or away. That, it seems, is the impossibility. That being free, what would the dark do without fevers to eat? What would the light do without eyes to knife? What would he do without me? All right. Clearly, this is probably a very known poem. I don't know it. I'm not familiar with it, but it is interesting. The lines that are highlighted, again, it would help if we knew who the hell was highlighting these lines, but everything that is underlined seems to be focused on torture, despair, terrible conditions, longing. Like it's not the highlighting of an individual who is in a good place mentally. It feels like. We don't have the time right now to deep dive or posit theories, but let me know what you all think. You've also got some kind of code here at the bottom, which miss me. We're not doing that, but I'm sure. Wait, is that the same? Oh, it's the same page, just closer up. I'm sure somebody will figure out. I hope somebody will figure out, because I'm sure it says something absolutely horrendous that needs to be known. And then like I said, you start getting into this strange imagery, things collected and put together that to me will only make sense to the individual who collected them. You got more of that code, and then in the corner you have two blank. That name is redacted for whatever reason. July 20th, 2000, it says, hope you will like your banner. I worked super hard on it just for you. I'm so happy that we're so close now, and don't worry, I won't forget about you while I'm in California and Florida. I mean, who could forget you? LOL. No, I'm assuming effing way. It's been great. Talk to you later. And then the name is also removed. Again, more questions than answers. You've got this boat and the island. To me, that seems to be obvious, referencing Epstein Island. Again, it would help if we knew who the hell journal this was. Underneath that, you've got some clipping that says, even from 1,000 miles away, old men and children, which juxtaposed against a island. Why aren't these people locked up, bro? What the hell? What are we doing right now? What the hell are we doing right now? What is this world? In photos of what seems to be a pregnant woman of a woman's uterus, of anyway, look, never imagined the joy, but joy is crossed out. In tears her future held, poured out an ocean of tears, pain. I've got myself a winner. Like I said, it just gets darker and darker. It reads like a serial killer. It reads like the Zodiac killer in his note to, you know, San Francisco PD, and that there may be a code here, or it may be the ravings of a madman. But either way, if you were to see this in person, if you were to hold it, you know that you're holding something inherently wrong. You got more clippings here from various magazines or, you know, what have you. You've got in the top left, victim of his own. We've got maybe she's born, crossed out with, put into it. You've got never to be, seen and heard. 1 minute I was a nobody, the next a stealth closer. High excitement videos of a child all night, a risky power play. Sad luxury lifestyles of the rich and then removed famous for perverse. Goes on to say, no men she trusted, the painful moments, the truth betrayed, broke her heart. We gotta get to the end of this nasty stuff. We have something here, looks like a ribbon. Congratulations, world's greatest graduate. If I had to guess, I mean, it's clearly not a high school ribbon, so maybe something giving to a middle school child. Then we have this handwritten note in cursive from we don't know who, because again, for some reason, these individuals are being protected. Everybody involved in this cover-up needs to go down hard. Only once, and the note goes on to say, only once is it possible for someone to find a woman with such unsurpassed beauty. Every moment in your presence is like experiencing heaven on earth. The sound of your voice tickling my ears is like the sound of angels singing. But when we are about, I don't know what that word is. Oh, but when we are apart. Okay, when we are apart, oh, the agony. I long just to have you in my gaze. Y'all can help me out with that one. I don't know what that word is. Something about, and then it's kind of crossed over by for your eyes only. To be near you, longing for your sweet. Again, more words kind of covered up here. To feel the air, but I rest with the knowledge that I will see you again soon. Another day, another dream. Anonymous for now. More creepy clippings. Weeping teenage girl in the small dark hours just before dawn. Picture perfect, balancing act, giggly, natural, soft, kind-hearted, cute, shy girl, battle, intelligent, simplicity, born humble, small, generous, little traits Jeffrey loves for the person who has everything. Is that not the same shit that Trump and Jeffrey wrote to each other in a damn note, right? Like for the person who, like, what's the gift for the person who has everything? Y'all look it up, but you know what I'm talking about? Like, what the is this world? What are we doing right now? Beauty dies shattered, no dreams, her tragic end, attacked. And it was a long, tragic tale of tears. Hearing the fierce mask magnify the silver limbo of each eye, where the child can never swim, where there's only him and him. Also, weird part underlined. It's always references to a child. More of this strange ass code. A picture of Einstein. And then, please behave like the evolved Homo sapien you are and kindly refrain from licking. There is a comment that seems excited about this particular clipping. But again, it is in its code. This goes on with more clippings of what if you didn't have to worry about Horror Island. They removed Mystical Island and put Horror Island and then photos. Again, bro, like some of this reads more than just the sexual depravity that we've all been focused on, right? Like for individuals who don't think of themselves as anything more than sexual deviants, putting Horror Island to me suggests that there are things you were doing that are outside your natural proclivities. And this is why you were referring, if this is Epstein's Island, to this as Horror Island. We already know he made the comment about loving the torture video. I'm telling you, it's so much bigger which is not to say this isn't big enough, than little girls being trafficked and sexually abused. This is so much bigger than massages and hundreds of dollars being exchanged. More pictures of this baby. Who knows what this is in reference to, or this fetus, or what's going on here. I don't know why you would have just random clippings of this. A lot of cold showers, blood on their hands, no doctor. Talk to no doctor. Doctor, damage, dead. If you don't know, you can't help. Y'all tell me. More clippings here. Perfectly functional, even if they aren't. That's good performance. Looking for help. The solution is death. Control, power, and young kids. Loneliness until she cried. One little child. Okay, this baby is fully developed at this point. Get more of what you want when you want it with America Online. Easy to install and even easier to get started. Stay connected to friends and family with convenient, easy to use email, buddy list, and AOL instant messenger features. Parental controls help safeguard your kids online. Stay alert. We live where you live. If you are still with me in this dark hole that we are currently climbing into, my one message to you is, if you have kids, hold your kids close and dear and protect them, and pay attention. You know what's going on with Roblox. This notebook is saying a lot. I'll fight to the end. I want to make people's lives better and change the world. To a dear granddaughter on your graduation day. I don't even want to know. And then again, you have something redacted that begs the same question. Why is that redacted? For graduation, I wanted to give you something I was absolutely sure you didn't have. It seems like they're collecting mementos from children, milestones that highlight a specific time period in a child's life. And that's the end of the book. And that is what we're going to end it for today. Like I said, we are going to keep deep diving into, these files and just keep reading until we get to a point where we've had enough, mainly because there's just not enough coverage, man. Like, certain networks are not even referring to the fact that these files have dropped. People aren't doing their due diligence in the journalism field of reading out what is actually being released and how dark and sick this world might actually be, because some are afraid, not only afraid of this administration and the consequences, but afraid of the truth, of revealing like what is actually occurring amongst people with money and what they're doing to individuals like us, the common person, how they are treating children. You all gotta let me know your thoughts. If there are particular documents you want me to go to first or read or to include, please let me know. And I will see y'all again very, very soon as we continue on this dive. Like I said, we'll definitely hit this journal entry about the young little girl probably in the next video that we do on Epstein. I was your host, GLW, and hold your kids close if you have them, your family members close, and I will holler at you all later.